morning. Welcome to P&B Sports Show. I'm Aroko Tom. Today is going to be a unique day because we're going to be diving into basketball in Edo State and football, international football. So today we are going to be talking about the 15th anniversary of the Access to Success Basketball and Empowerment Camp. And for that, we are going to have our first guest and my colleague, Mr. Abel Sunday. Then we're going to be moving into the Premier League later on, where we'll be discussing Aston Villa and Newcastle's debut, their match together. Then we'll be moving on to Leicester City relegation, which was very funny for me. But before then, we're going to go on a short break. So grab your teacup, sit tight, because P&B Sports starts now. Welcome back to P&B Sports Show. So like I said earlier, we're going to be discussing about the Access to Success Basketball and Empowerment Camp. So surprisingly, it's their 15th anniversary. They've been doing this in Edo State and in Nigeria for 15 years. And for that, I'm going to be moving over to my colleague, Mr. Abel Sunday, to give us a little background of Access to Success and to tell us what this 15th anniversary means to A2S. Mr. Abel Sunday, how are you? How is Edo State?
I'm fine. Good morning. And how's Abuja this morning?
Abuja is fine. We miss you here at the studio.
I also miss you guys. Don't worry. I'll be back shortly. Don't worry.
That's
to do this, of course.
That's lovely. That's the good thing about our job. It takes us to different places, and that's why we love it. So, Mr. Abel.
Oh, yes, of course. Of course.
So, Mr. Abel, tell me, how is the atmosphere at the Access to Success Basketball and Empowerment Camp right now, and what is going on?
I think arrival started. I think people started arriving on Friday. Friday we have guys even from the US. They're all here at Benin, right here in Benin, and the venue they are using is University of Benin here in Edo State. So, and this is the 15th, like you rightly said, this is the 15th anniversary of Access to Success. They've been sharing and inspiring hopes for the past 15 years. But the question that many people will ask is, why does this 15th year make it significant? And that's the question we want the president also to answer to us. Why is it that why is it that the 15th year is this significant? Why don't you do 10th year anniversary? Why don't you do 12 years anniversary? Why don't you do 14 or 13 year anniversary? Why the 15th? Why is the 15th so significant? But that's the question that the president and the founder of the foundation is to unpack for us when I get to interview him later. But all this, the coaches are now. I think the coaches meeting are about to start, and everybody's in, and the players and everybody's in. But this year, normally the way they run the camp before is the conventional camp where you bring these kids in, you teach them basics of basketball,
yes.
And also there's an empowerment camp as well. Those ones that can also learn skills and something. So that is how the camp is being run for the past 15 years. But this year's own, they had to make it like a tournament. So you have different teams from different geopolitical, two teams that represent Benin as a whole. Then we'll have a team that is representing Warri, that is in Delta State. Then we'll have a team that is representing Asaba and also Onitsha. Also, then we also have a team that's representing Lagos and Ekiti, like that. So they splitted it in different like that, so that they could have a broad representation from different parts of the country. So that is why I think that is how they want to mark their 15th anniversary right here in Benin.
Okay, that's amazing. That's lovely. I remember coming to Benin. I think I've been to their camp severally, and I've seen how they've performed. I've seen how they've developed over the years. So I can say kudos to Access to Success Basketball and Empowerment Camp. Like you rightly says, they've been sharing smiles, inspiring hope. And please just give us a brief background on Andrew Lovedale. Tell us what you think about his personality and how he has affected the lives of these kids and these children. Because you can see that Access to Success, they've been taking kids through school, they've helped kids, they've given skills to these kids, and they've helped them grow. They've even given them kits that will help them play basketball. So how do you see Andrew Lovedale as a person, and what do you think his vision is, even before you interview him?
Well, I think Andrew Lovedale is an amazing person. He's somebody that really wants everybody around him to have the feel of his kind of person. Do you get? And he tried to touch lives. Any life around him, he tried to touch life. Anytime you have a contact with him, you don't have to believe this. You have to leave a mark with you, a positive change, a positive mark with you. And I think that's the kind of person that Andrew Lovedale is. And I think you asked on that question. Please, can you remind me about that, please?
Now I was asking. I said before you interview him, he has been giving he has been taking kids through school, both in Nigeria and outside the country. He has been helping them achieve their dreams in basketball and through skill acquirement. So tell us, what is your opinion on these schemes that the HOS have been putting in place for these children?
Yeah. I think it's a very wonderful and I think palatable way of really giving back to the society, and him doing that, and he keeps in, and that is why oftentimes I ask myself, many camps have come to this country, many people have brought camps. And you see, it does not survive the test of time. Most of the times, you see maybe a year, 2, 3, it's off. You see, so I don't want to mention names now. You see, some even if they have to stand for a very long time, they could do it consecutively like 5 years, and the history will not be the thing of the past. Like you will not even hear about it again. So many camps like that, them, and I don't want to call their name because we are right on air, right now. You get the head. So you see, so many camps like that they've done, but him consistently, he has been doing this for over 15 years, no break. Even during the COVID-19, they had to apply a method, and they do this, maintain the social distancing and what have you, that the NCDC apply, that we should apply for our day-to-day activities. Yes. And they were able to also run it even during the COVID. This camp was still very right involved, and that's the question. One of the questions I'm going to ask him today when we have the exclusive interview. I'm going to ask him how is he able to sustain this dream for this quite a long time, and of course, what really bettered this idea? How did he conceive it? Is it something that he has right from his childhood, or even during his college days, that he conceived this idea that now we are seeing it as a reality? And also in Benin, they see him as an icon. Honestly, to be honest, they see him as an icon. You are really just like an Access to Foundation has become a household name in Southside, because there's nobody that you tell, what HOS? They'll say, oh yeah, they are well, and most of them have even come down to participated in the camp. Do you get? There was a time, I think 2 months ago, I was in Abuja. I went to National Stadium, and I saw one kid, and he was wearing Access to Social. Okay, I was wearing Access to Social polo. Then he was like, Access to Social, and I'm like, do you know the guy? He said yes, and I said, wow, he said he participated last year. So you can imagine, even down to Abuja, you can see that some persons even have participated, like to tell you how wide the foundation has touched lives. You get? So I
Yes.
think, like you rightly said, he's an amazing person, and he has been doing so well for the past 15 years. And I hope that he's still going to keep this fire burning. And of course, in the interview, we'll have to unfold plans that he has for the foundation in the nearest future.
Okay, okay. I remember being in Benin some years back, and I heard him talk to the kids, and he told these children, he said, have fun, and make every moment count. And he said it's not just about basketball, but it's about life. But we're going to move away from there, and we're going to be talking about the people that have come from the United States, the volunteers from the United States, and the volunteers here in Nigeria, and the coaches here. From what you've seen, I know that this is the first day, but from what you've seen now, how is the synergy like from those that have come from outside the country and from those that are here in Nigeria?
I think it's already fine, because if you see the coaches now that are even inside, and the reason why they did it, they want to start the camp with coaches clinic, is because most of these coaches, most of them have an academy. They've been running academy for years now. They don't even know how to run a proper academy that will generate funds for them, and that is why they brought in an expert that will take them for the next 2 or 3 hours to teach them how they can run the academy and generate funds. Some of their players, how they can run their player, and they can also get an income if they travel down to the United States, maybe for study or maybe for I-20, which is scholarship. They should have something as well for the academy. So there's an expert that they brought in that is going to take them through all those classes, and that is how the program today is designed. But you're talking about synergy. Yes, everywhere is really, really fully packed, and the players are, we are at the A2S at Oguso, but the players, all the players are that's to participate in the championship this year. They are at Uniben main bowl right now. So immediately after
Meeting.
the meet, they will now move down to Uniben indoor, where the competition will start officially.
Okay, that's lovely, Mr. Abel. This is our job. It makes us travel to different places, and I'm so happy that we have you in Edo State, Benin City, to give us information on what is happening in the Access to Success Basketball and Empowerment Camp, Mr. Abel. Mr. Abel, we miss you here at P&B, and we are expecting you back here in one piece. Mr. Abel, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I miss you guys too. I can't wait to come back to Abuja, honestly. I think I was telling you yesterday off air that I think I'm more comfortable with Abuja. I can't survive and live here anymore. I'm missing home, so I need to come back.
Okay, that's lovely. That's lovely. Thank you, Mr. Abel. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right.
That's it for A2S today. So we're going to be talking about as we're going to be going to the Premier League. We'll be talking about Aston Villa's match with Newcastle, which was on Saturday. Then we'll be moving to Leicester City relegation and what it means for the team. So before that, we're going to go on a short break. And when we come back, we are going to have Mr. Osedion from Abuja, who is a sports analyst. And we're going to have another sports analyst from Lagos, who is Mr. Walter, also known as the principal team. So sit tight, grab your popcorn, and don't go anywhere. Welcome back. So on Saturday, we had a fantastic match. We were all fascinated as we saw the match between Aston Villa and Newcastle. And Aston Villa, they played fantastic football. Unai Emery we saw his amazing tactics and his strategies on the field. So right now, for the analysis of these matches, like I said earlier, we are going to have Mr. Osedion Leo from here in Abuja, who is a sports analyst, and we're going to have another amazing sports analyst, which is Mr. Wisdom, who is also known as the principal thing. You know, when it comes to football, he is the principal thing. He is seasoned in his job and he knows what he's doing. So Mr. Osedion and Mr. Wisdom, how are you both doing?
I'm doing fine. Good morning, listeners. It's a bit here in Abuja. So thank God for everything.
Mr. Wisdom, how are you doing?
Oh, good morning, Tom. I'm doing very much well. How about you?
I'm good. That's the principal thing. Well done. So we're going to be moving over to the Aston Villa match. And we saw that Aston Villa played well. But Mr. Wisdom, what is your thought on the match between Aston Villa and Newcastle?
Well, to be honest, my first reaction is shock. I have to say, I wasn't expecting that kind of scoreline. Yeah, I expected goals, obviously, but then a whitewash from Aston Villa to a Newcastle side that coming into that game, they've already scored 9 goals in 2 games, smashing Manchester United 4-1, and then leaving the rest on Crystal Palace, if I'm not mistaken, by 5 goals to nil. So it was a very crazy one, honestly, and I would really say kudos to Unai Emery. The game plan worked to perfection. Newcastle were really stunned, but then I think for Aston Villa as well, it was a very much needed, victory. In fact, the goals rather that they scored was very much needed because the way the race for the Champions League spot is looking like, it looks as though you are going to need those goals. It might end up, resulting to goal difference for teams to qualify. So yeah, it was a very wonderful game. For neutrals, absolutely fantastic. For Newcastle United fans, a game that you would want to forget in a haste.
Okay, that's lovely. So Mr. Osedion, like Mr. Wisdom rightly said, he said he loves Unai Emery's tactics. Like Unai Emery, I was surprised with his substitution with Onana and the rest. But what is your opinion on his tactics and the way that match was being played yesterday?
Unai Emery is a very big coach. He thinks a lot. He thinks of strategies on how to get his game going. If you look at it, he came with a 4-3-1 formation. But along the line, the wingers, they had to invert into the mid. So it looks as if he was playing with 3 number 10s. And doing that, he had to hold the midfield, 3 of them against Tonali. Tonali was the only one in that same number 10 for Newcastle. So because of that, it was just idle, no one to assist, and that was where Newcastle got it wrong. They would have tried to deploy another player alongside Tonali. So with the help of Kamara and Tillemans, they were able to penetrate through the midfield, sending the ball, maneuvering their way through the midfield, sending the ball to the guys in the middle, Asensio, Magin, and who was the other guy again? So that one, with that way, it was very easy for Aston Villa to penetrate through the midfield, and with Watkins coming into the midfield and distracting those defenders, it became very difficult for even the defenders, because when Watkins will come into the middle and they are trying to operate, then another midfielder will try moving forward to make the runs along with Watkins. It made Newcastle to be stabilized, and it just continued that kind of mismatch for a whole 90 minutes. And the problem with Newcastle was that their coach was available. I think he had pneumonia or something. So Tinder, who was the assistant coach, his best, but he did a lot of late substitutions. Supposing he had brought in Gordon earlier enough, maybe been able to stretch that as formation. So with that error, Aston Villa was able to capitalize. So it was a beautiful one from Naemery, like he said the tactics worked out well. And if you can also see his left backs, they were all making the runs. Why? Because that midfield was already distracted. His own player was leaving his own flank, trying to come to the midfield because Aston Villa had already made sure that that midfield were theirs, and midfield they were able to distribute the ball easily. So that was how they got in and Newcastle. It was a beautiful game.
Okay, lovely, lovely. Thank you for your analysis, Mr. Osedio. But over to you, Mr. Wisdom. Like Mr. Osedio rightly said, he said Aston Villa used a 4-2-3-1 formation and Newcastle used a 4-3-3 formation. But how did that 4-3-3 work for Newcastle? Because to me, it all fell in shambles. So what is your opinion?
Well, the truth is, when you look at Newcastle, naturally the way they are set up, especially under Eddie Howe, it's a formation that it's a possession based formation, and if you look at that game against Manchester United, how they were able to stifle United out of possession, and then even coming to this Aston Villa game, I just like Mr. Ostidion rightly said, they were just, unfortunate. The manager couldn't quickly figure out what went wrong, but by then, it was already too late for them. You look at as early as the first minute, that was when Oli Watkins got the first goal to show you that, Aston Villa quickly spotted out, the issue in the defense. At the end of the day, you look at Newcastle had they had the larger part of possession and everything, but then the formation, rightly said, like I said earlier, is a formation that is designed, to keep possession and try to stifle out the midfield. But unfortunately for them, they just couldn't figure out, what Unai Emery had in store for them. You look at the likes of Harvey Barnes and Jacob Murphy, who we both know are runners. They really love to run. Once they get the ball, the counter attack is literally on their head. It's more like a possession-based counter-attacking
Yes,
game.
yes.
You understand? So Newcastle United, they don't just get the ball and pass it at the back. Once they get the ball, they are charging at you instantly and all of that. But I think they were just so unfortunate on the day because Aston Villa had everything planned to perfection. And you look at the likes of Joe Linton and Bruno Guimaraes, they were both frustrated and locked out of the game as well. So it wasn't a good one. It wasn't what's the word to use? The press and the compactness of Aston Villa really choked them. It was something else. In fact, Dan Burn even had an own goal, so it wasn't a good one for them that day. Let's just say everything that could have gone right for them went wrong on the day. I don't think it was a case of the tactics not being good enough. In general, it's something that they've always been doing. They've used it to wipe away teams. But then on the night, it was just the case of Unai Emery. His tactical genius really outshone that of Jason Tyndall.
Okay, that's lovely. That's lovely. So you talking about the own goal. It was honestly a surprise to me, but I felt, when the person at the helm of affairs of Newcastle wasn't around, that the management that was there couldn't really handle what was given to them, or they couldn't make the right changes that they had to make until late in the match, bringing on fresh legs into the match. But what's your opinion on
No,
the assistant coach that coached that match for Newcastle?
no, I think Tyndall is doing great for himself. I don't think this is the first time he's taking charge of a Newcastle United game. I think, if I'm not mistaken, before Eddie Howe was appointed, he was, I think he served as interim, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, Tyndall is quite an experienced, manager. Although he served mostly as an assistant, but hey, he's not new to. You wouldn't compare Jason Tyndall to Unai Emery, right?
At all, at all,
Yeah.
at
So
all.
let's just say, let's say it was outplayed and outsmarted, by Unai Emery, who obviously you would say he is a better manager compared to Jason Tyndall. So Jason Tyndall, for me, yeah, he is a fair manager. He's all right. He's okay, but it was just the case of, okay, this is where brilliance really needs to show, and then
A better
play.
better coach and a better team. That was what Newcastle met.
Yeah, exactly. That was basically it.
Okay, so talking about Unai Emery and Tinder, and talking about the difference that they were better coaches that the Aston Villa had. So we're going to be moving. We're going to be pulling up the video of Unai Emery's post-match interview, because he had a lot to say and he just kept giving audio applause for his team, which was amazing. So please pull up that video for us.
Very happy. Really, how we respond today was fantastic. After the match we played on Tuesday, and how we are reacting and responding, coming back again to the Premier League, being focused 100% this competition, because it's through it where we can get our objective to be again in Europe and hopefully again in Champions League.
Okay, so like what Unai Emery said, he said we are in our best moment. Mr. Osedion, do you agree that Aston Villa is in their best moment right now?
Obviously, one is going to agree. You just went on. Okay, you came back from, should we call it a heartbreak against PSG. You're coming into this one, you are fighting for the Champions League, and you got a very important win. Because this running stage is very crucial. So why not? With this kind of formation it came out with, how it suits the game against a powerful Newcastle side, it's high scoring side. I would say anyone would say what he just said. Of course, they are in their best moment. So he's right about that.
Okay, that's lovely. So what is your opinion? We saw Ole Watkins. He scored a fantastic goal, but he was started before Rashford, which was a surprise to some people. What is your opinion on him being started before Rashford, who just came from Manchester United?
Over the two legs in the Champions League against PSG, Rashford was preferred ahead of Ole Watkins. So coming into this one, Unai Emery thought it was like, okay, Rashford had played 2 games, he started. Why don't I change things? Ole Watkins is also a good player. He has done so well this season. So he had already positioned his formation, and I was going to play Newcastle. So he felt that Ole Watkins is going to be the man, because he's so good at doing those run-ins, especially with this formation he came up with, so that him alongside a midfielder will be able to penetrate that Newcastle's defense, especially when they have already clogged the midfield, when they are already taking hold of the midfield. So he thought to himself, let me give Ole Watkins, and why not? It worked out for him. So it was a good plan for Unai Emery. Kudos to him.
Okay. So over to you, the principal team, Ole Watkins. He was started before Rashford. What is your opinion on that?
No, nothing much really. Nothing much really. It wasn't a big deal. Just rightly said by Mr. Osedion, Aston Villa, Marcus Rashford starting the last 2 Champions League games. Personally, for me, Rashford, I don't think he scored. Yeah, I'm not wrong. He didn't score over the 2 legs in the Champions League. And then, in fact, listening to Ole Watkins' post-match interview, and he was talking about, that no one is happy to sit on the bench, to show you that he was actually frustrated, already sitting on the bench. And it's understandable that, hey, he is the main man. How can Marcus Rashford, who has been underperforming at Manchester United, come and, keep him on the bench over 2 Champions League games, over the 2 legs, crucial games for him. Who knows if he had played those games, he might have scored or something. But then he played that game as though he had a point to prove, like a reminder to Unai Emery that, see, guy, Kochi, Gafar, I'm your main man, right? And 1 minute in, bang. So I think nothing really much about it. Everything still boils down to the manager and his tactics for the day. But Ole Watkins, we know the quality he possesses. Whenever he's on the field, even if you just bring him in as a sub,
Yes.
90 minutes, you just have to be careful around him. So I think it all boils down to Unai Emery at the end of the day. But then Oli Watkins had to remind Unai Emery that I'm your main man. And so Marcus Rashford will really have to do something special whenever he's given the chance again. If not, Watkins might just regain his spot.
Okay, that's lovely. So we are moving over to Ian Matson. Ian Matson, what do you think about his role on the Aston Villa side?
I have to say the young man has really improved, to be honest. The young man has really improved. If I'm not mistaken, we moved from Chelsea, to Aston Villa, and then before, that move, even I personally, I wasn't really convinced about his quality, and I was like, okay, Ian Martin. How would Unai Emery, extract something out of this guy? But then, ever since he joined Aston Villa, he's really improved massively in terms of his attacking game, in terms of his defensive display as well. And the goal over the weekend really capped it up for him nicely. It shows you the kind of work that Unai Emery has really done on these players. In fact, literally almost all of the players. Oli Watkins, started playing his best football when Unai Emery came. We see Matikash, who is also operating down the right hand side, the right back for Aston Villa, literally having a fantastic season. There's also Amadou, Nana, all of these players literally, living out their best potential. Yeah, so Martin, I would really say he's very lucky to have Unai Emery with him currently. But the young lad has massively improved his game. It's definitely one of the exciting talents you want to keep your eyes on.
Okay, so we are good. So like you rightly said, I remember you just mentioned Amadou Onana, and yesterday he had a fantastic goal. I'm not talking about the Onana in Manchester United that cannot even save our goalpost. I'm talking about the man in Aston Villa. So what is your opinion on Amadou Onana and his performance yesterday? Day before yesterday.
Well, yeah. Manchester United and Onana, beg, maybe we leave that guy away in talking about Amadou Onana, yeah, same goes for him as well, really. I think he's really tried. Going back to his days in Everton, he has, he's a very solid player. Well, for those that play, the issue I have with Amadou Onana is his consistency. There are games where Amadou Onana is there. Sometimes he plays 90 minutes and you don't know that Amadou Onana is in that midfield. While there are days where he doesn't really have to play much, but 10 minutes, 15 minutes on the field, and then you feel his impact. So that is just the only issue I have with Amadou Onana, is consistency. But if you talk about the quality he possesses, is definitely got those qualities.
Okay, that's lovely. I love his football actually. Apart from the him not being consistent, I still love the way he plays. He's representing Aston Villa well, and he has developed into a very, very fine player. So, Mr. Osedion, Aston Villa keeps moving closer and closer and closer to a top 5 finishing. What is your opinion on their performance so far, and what do you think they have to do to get to that top 5 finishing?
Yeah, they've been impressive lately. I think the last 5 games or so they have been doing winning games. But the only thing they need to do is to keep on winning, because these remaining 4 games or 5 games of the season is just about winning, because you have Chelsea, Nottingham Forest, you have Man City. So they have to keep winning, because this is very crucial for them. If you look at their next game, they are playing City on Tuesday. Oof, that's a game. Like, maybe that should be their game of the season.
Yes.
And the only thing they have to do is to just win, because there's no other thing. A draw is not even comfortable. Even Newcastle being in 3rd place, they are not even comfortable. A win for Newcastle during the weekend, like, I think they would have had maybe little to do in maybe 3 wins and a draw would have been okay for Newcastle. But now Newcastle have to be on their heels, because the other things are coming really. This is like the race now. This is the real running. and every team has to put in their effort. So Aston Villa has to keep on what Una Emery has to keep doing. He has to keep, because the remaining games is the Premier League. There's a way you play in the Premier League that is always different from the Champions League or the FA Cup. So your formation may not be regular. So come up with ideas on how to make sure the formation works for each game, because teams will have a kind of pattern they use in defending, maybe the low block or the high block or whatever pattern they want to go with. So it has to be win-win-win for Una Emery. Well, I see them making top 5. Yeah.
Okay. But I know you see them making top 5, but where do you see them finishing? Exactly.
Maybe they'll finish 5th.
Okay. That's lovely. So I'm trying the same question to you, the principal thing, Mr. Wisdom. What do you think about Aston Villa? Do you predict that they are going to have a top 5 finishing? And do you think, like Mr. Osedion said, that they are going to finish 5th, or do you think they are going to go higher than that?
Oh, no. There's no space for them up there. There's no space for them up there. I would, yeah. I think I'm gonna give yeah. So I would place Manchester City 3rd. Nottingham Forest would drop down to 4th, and Newcastle would complete the top 5. Aston Villa would see themselves either 6th or 7th, and so Aston Villa and Chelsea would both battle for 6th and 7th. Well, Aston Villa, they really have to be very careful, in this final stage of the season. In fact, all the teams there really have to be careful. It's a case of, if you snooze, you lose. The Premier League is literally very open, and this title race, or rather this top 4 race, or the race for the European places, is actually very massive. Now everyone is fixated on the top 4. Meanwhile, it's a case for Europe, in fact, because teams currently sitting 7th and 8th as well, are still in that conversation for booking an European spot. Yes, we all know the top 5, the top 6 is the focus, but then all other teams in 7 and 8, I think, if I'm not mistaken, at least the teams in the top 8 would still, play themselves in reverse fixtures. So everybody wants to get a point of everyone, because it would affect, their standings in the league. Yeah, so it is still something that is very much open. We saw Chelsea. God, I really have to say, God saved them. Normally, even though God would not really, interfere in football matters, but then He really had to come through for them. But you look at Nottingham Forest, whom I'm just hoping they don't lose to Spurs today, because if they do, they might just drop out of the Champions League. In fact, they've dropped out of the Champions League spot already, because they are currently 6th. So I just hope they're able to get all 3 points over Spurs and climb up back to where they are meant to be, because I would be so pained. For Nottingham Forest if they don't make it. But then going back to Aston Villa, I don't think that they would be able to make it to the Champions League places. I highly doubt that.
Okay. So which means
just wrap up. I think also pretty much look at Arsenal. Everyone already took their mind off Arsenal, but if Forest, for instance, was to win their game over Spurs today, they would be going back to 3rd, and they would be on 60 points, just points behind Arsenal. All Arsenal needs to do is lose 2 games, and the 6-point lead is gone. So Arsenal as well, they should still be very much wary. They've got Newcastle, they've got Liverpool. I think they've also got Crystal Palace and Southampton or Bournemouth, if I'm not mistaken, like their remaining set of fixtures. So yeah, Liverpool and Newcastle is going to be banana peel for us now. So they should also be wary as well.
Okay, so talking about Liverpool and Newcastle being banana peels, I'm surprised they are saying that. But we saw a Liverpool side push the Leicester side into relegation. what is your opinion on them pushing the Leicester side into relegation with a 1-0 win?
Yeah, well, okay, before I quickly answer the question, what I mean by banana peels is the fact that you don't know what you would expect from those games. So Arsenal might be feeling, hey, we just knocked out Madrid of the Champions League and blah 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 blah. Okay, come on, Liverpool is not Real Madrid, and the Premier League is completely different, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, that's why I say it's a banana peel. But then, that game, yeah, I think it's unfortunate for Ruud van Nistelrooy and Leicester City going down the relegation zone again. And for Liverpool, they wouldn't mind, they wouldn't care. All that is important is, in fact, Liverpool might just be confirmed champion by Wednesday if Arsenal don't get all 3 points over Crystal Palace. So Liverpool, in fact, if they are not announced as the champions by Wednesday, then by weekend Liverpool, would be lifting the Premier League trophy. So yeah, it's pretty much wrapped up for them. But it's just unfortunate that Leicester City had to be the ones. I would not really say unfortunate anymore because the handwriting was literally on the wall. 18 point minus 46 goal difference. That's like, I don't know what else to say about Leicester City. It's been a shambolic season for them, but then it is what it is. Kudos to Liverpool, and sorry to any Leicester fan out there.
Okay. So, Mr. Osedio, just shortly, we've seen a Leicester City sides that have struggled to be in the Premier League, and now I think they're in the English football. They've been moved, and the landlords have said they should pack to the English football league now. So, what do you think about their struggles into the Premier League, and how unfortunate it is that they've been moved, that they've been sent packing into the English Football League?
From the beginning of the season, we had noticed that Leicester were not, should I say, they were not top notch for the Premier League. Yes, getting a promotion is one thing, but staying up there, you always need players. They just had Vardy, and I think Daka is not a consistent striker, and Vardy is already aged. So you can't just be with Vardy for years or in the name of his agent. Yeah, he's a player, but when you look at their attack is not fantastic at all. Because in the game of football, you need to find a way to score goals. Your defense has to be very good, and your midfield at least okay or superb. But you can notice that they pull the strings for Leicester. So I think it's a good thing that they are going back to the Champions League. Sorry to say to Leicester fans, but it's only those who are really good that are actually playing the league. You saw Nottingham Forest, even if they were promoted, they had to get about 3-4 players who stay in the Premier League, and since then they've been. That's what you have to do. When you have been promoted, you have to buy players.
Okay.
Because that's the only way you can try your best. So that's just it for Leicester. I wish good luck.
Yeah, I wish them good luck too. Like you rightly said, it's not just about making it to the Premier League. The real question is, can you stay there? So, Mr. Wisdom, the principal thing, and Mr. Osedion, many thanks for coming on our show. And we thank you so much for always coming and proving yourself worthy of being sports analysts.
Thank you very much, Tom. It's always a pleasure being here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, so we've had it all, and that will be all for P&B Sports Show. And next time when we come, we are going to be discussing more diverse sports. It might not be football, it might be basketball, it might be car racing, or it might be golf. But stay tuned for P&B Sports Show. I am Arokotom. Have a blessed day.